Cool. Hey, everybody. Jimmy from Superpath here today with my friend Benjamin Elias. Not the first time we've done this. Hopefully, not the last time either. Benjamin, you're the director of growth marketing at Podia. You're hiring a lead content marketer. We'll talk specifically about that. But maybe first, for the uninitiated, could you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about Podia?
Yeah, totally. So my name is Benjamin. As Jimmy said, I'm director of growth marketing at Podia. That means content marketing, affiliate marketing, community marketing, lifecycle marketing. All the marketing pretty much is growth related. So that's where we're at. Podia is a all-in-one platform for the creator economy for creators. It's a way for creators to support themselves financially through their audience, and that means by selling online courses. It means by hosting paid or free communities, by selling coaching sessions, webinars, really anything that lets you get income or revenue from your audience is something that Podia offers. A major thing that we hear from folks is, "Oh, I love having all of this in one place." Jimmy is a Podia customer, so I don't know if
Yeah.
if
No, it's
that
true.
is resonating with him there.
For sure, all of those things you just listed that Podia does, I've done. The only thing we haven't done is sell a webinar, but other than that, I think we've done everything else. And I would agree, it's a great product, and it just makes it easy. Like, there's lots of
Yeah.
janky ways to like duct tape together some of the stuff, or for a very reasonable price. I would point out, like, Podia is very, very reasonably priced for what you get. You can do all these things in one place. No transaction fees too. I'm pretty sure, right? Is that right?
That is right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet because pretty much every other platform gets you there.
Yeah. So like really for Podia, like that's what we're trying to build is we see in the creator economy, in the world of creating, there are all these different types of creators. There are creators who are more like education focused or entertainment focused. Like a YouTuber is a creator. Are they selling an online course? Maybe, maybe not. We're seeing a broader range of folks look at a broader range of ways to monetize their business, and we don't think that there is a platform for that right now. If you want an online course, you can't also run a paid community on those platforms. You can't also do these other things,
Yeah.
and that's really what we're building, is that piece of that market that is the one-stop shop that lets a creator come in and, like, this is where I run, this is where my income comes from as a creator, and it's what lets me be supported by my audience, so they don't have to fiddle with sponsorships or like merch, these other things that are fickle and can affect the type of content that you create or the things that you do with your creative work.
Or be forced to rely too heavily on giant platforms.
Yeah,
Like if you're
totally.
a YouTuber or even a Substacker, like you rely on them heavily and they take a very nice cut for your reliance on them also. So in Podia, like, you own it, which is I think pretty amazing. So maybe like as we transition to like this role specifically,
Mm-hmm.
Podia has no sales team. Is that correct?
No sales team. Yes.
Which puts
One
a
of
lot of
the
emphasis on the marketing team, right, to get the job done. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the sales team wouldn't really make sense for the business that Podia has, right? Like we mostly sell to individual people or small teams, maybe a creator, or for a really successful creator, like a creator and their VA, or there are a few smaller organizations and nonprofits in the mix as well. I mean, there's a bunch. We have, thousands of customers. So there are some of those in there as well. But it doesn't really make sense to have a sales team for that kind of motion. Like that is a great candidate for self-serve, and self-serve is where all the business comes from. So everyone who is a Podia customer touched Podia marketing, and that's how they got in there. It also means, like, marketing is very important to us, and the way we approach marketing is I think much more intentional than you see at some places, or than I've seen personally. Maybe I won't speak for the industry at large, but that I've personally seen it in some places that need a lot of sales enablement, like content becomes a service org, or marketing becomes a service org, and that's not really what we want to do. We have a clear vision for how we come into the creator market and sell to creators.
I love it. I love it. Can you talk a little bit about content at Podia today, and then where this new lead content marketer fits in?
Yeah, I'm going to actually talk a little bit about marketing first, because
Okay.
that's how I really like to structure this. I get asked sometimes, like, what's your content strategy? And it's like, well, we have a content strategy. Really, we have a marketing strategy, and all of the various areas of marketing fit into that. I have a content background. Len, our CMO, has a content background. So content is real and valued, and we have 3 folks working on it full time. The key to that is we want to make it. We want to put all of the resources into our big opportunities. This is actually super timely because our CEO just tweeted a pull quote from an internal strategy doc, so I can share it now.
Cool.
Which is a core principle behind our marketing is that we build for the long term, but we use campaigns and exciting headlines to shine a spotlight on the long-term building we do. So we want to create these things, like sustainable growth over time that ladders on itself. It's not like a spike or a flash in the pan. We want to build these things, but there's benefit to being able to announce stuff and having cool stuff coming out, both in the market and how people are paying attention to you, and internally and how you get things done. We have just been able, I'll give an example of like this creator fellowship that we just ran, and the winner is announced tomorrow as we're recording. We are giving a creator $2,022 to make 2022 their best year yet. And we had 948 applications.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is a 25-minute form. We have some data that we collect from that. So people, not like surreptitiously, people tell us like how much revenue do I have, how many products, what's your experience level. We'll be able to turn that into a piece of content in a report. We've pulled together the free text responses for how would they spend the money, and that's going to become a piece as well. What would 900 creators do if they had this money to spend? Like, what should you be thinking about investing in next as a creator? We also generated over 130 pieces of user-generated video that we have permission to use in our marketing as a result of this. Like, we have all of this stuff that came out of this. We improved our email deliverability so we could announce it to the much broader range of past customers and trials, which also corresponded to a pretty good new business bump when we announced the fellowship and started talking to those folks for the first time in a while. Like, those are infrastructure improvements that without a timeline are tricky to do. Like, when do you start experimenting with user-generated content? When you have a big thing that is driving you to do it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's how we think about that. Like, we're going to have some cool long-term assets out of it. That creator research is going to be useful to us internally and should be interesting externally. We have more planned on that front this month that I can't really talk about, but we'll have a similar approach of we're going to make long-term adjustments to one of our acquisition channels that are going to be great for that channel, but like not super exciting to announce. So we tie it to something that is super exciting to announce, and it's easier to rally the team's resources around it. It's easier to pile on more long-term benefits that you get. Those little nagging things that never seem to get done anywhere else get done because you're working towards a specific timeline for them, and you get more attention on the long-term investment that you do. That's how I think about the marketing team overall. Where does content fit into that? Right now, we've got 2 full-time writers and a full-time video person. The articles on Podia get 20,000 or so organic visitors a month, and that's been growing pretty decently. It's definitely up. I believe it's up like 40% year over year. Maybe don't quote me on the number, but it is up. We have some really solid, high intent, bottom of funnel stuff in place as well. Even before I came to Podia, and maybe even before I knew Len, I knew about Podia's alternatives pages because of just their reputation, and there are so many of them, and they perform so well. On the video side, Ben, our video guy, he runs our YouTube channel, has 20,000 subscribers, a lot of really successful stuff there. Also, like really creative, funny stuff and videos that he's done for our larger announcements. When we think about content moving forward, like, again, like I have a background in content, Len has a background in content. Content to me is like how we tell the story and the message of these major events. So we invest in the channels that we think will perform for specific pieces. So we're not going to write whatever Instagram captions. That's not a keyword that we're going to target, even though a lot of creators care about Instagram captions. We might write about like what are the best online community platforms if we're going to target search. We might target bottom of funnel. I don't want to say a competitor, but like whatever, Kajabi versus Podia, Kajabi alternatives. Like we can split those out, and we have more intent there. There are opportunities around those things, and there are opportunities around original research that has pretend. And we have 2 of those pieces coming on right now. That has potential in search, but is not totally optimized for search. There's creator stories, and these big things run on content. Like a creator fellowship, that story is running on the message that it comes out of that, and that's what we really want this content lead or director, or senior manager, like the person to come in and help coordinate.
I love it. So they'll come in with 3 direct reports. Is that right?
Yeah, 3 direct reports. We have some external resources as well that we use.
Cool. And then they'll report to you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. One more just nuts and bolts question. Remote, but how remote?
Fully remote. How remote? Fully 100%. If there's more than 100% remote, that's us. We actively move away from each other. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Podia is a remote company, has always been a remote company. I am in Portland, Maine. Our CEO is in the New York, Connecticut area. Our CMO is in Baltimore. People are all over. We've got folks in Brazil, in Eastern Europe, in Portugal, in the UK. Fully remote company, always been that way, runs super smoothly. One thing that I think a lot of companies struggled with in the transition to remote was like, well, how do you stay in touch with folks? Like, how does communication happen? And it turned into, well, everyone has 6 hours of meetings a day.
Yeah.
Podia is super intentional about how we communicate and how it thinks about remote benefits. And it's like, the rhythm of work is really nice. It's okay. We use these async platforms for these things. We have to really think about how we manage our projects and make sure we're working on the right things, not just a lot of things, which is good anyway, but even more important when you're remote. We know when it's time to switch to a meeting or not. Like all those things are really like well figured out here in a lot of ways.
Cool. I love it. And how about this person? Who are they and what have they been up to? Like what, like is there a certain thing you're looking for in a resume, a title or an industry they've been working in? Like for example, do they need experience in the creator economy to do this job?
No, I think we love folks who either have been creators or have experience with creators. It's not, we list that as optional because we know that's all ask. In terms of what I'm looking for, I really think of this in 3 dimensions. The first is content chops. Like, can you make an interesting piece of content? Can you coach a writer through an interesting piece of content? Can you find angles? Can you match the content to the channel? Can you match the message to the audience? These are like the skills of content marketing, or I would say the hard skills of content marketing. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's a controversial thing to say, but I think those are hard skills, and not everyone treats them that way. I would imagine you would be. But the second one is the management side. So you can have 3 direct reports right away. You'll also be the only manager on my team, which leads to some facilitation across the organization, from marketing to support to development. So there's a direct reports management relationship, and there's a peers and other departments relationship. And we're looking for folks who have some experience in that. And then the third is this like marketing strategy, not content strategy. I sometimes say to folks that we should be able to run our campaigns so that they follow the phrase Podia announces. And if it doesn't sound like news, if you say Podia announces, then it's probably not big enough for a campaign. It could still be a great idea. It could still be something that we roll in together. And it's not that we have to have like the constant stream of things happening. It's not like a franticness in that way. But it's looking for the big moments and use the big moments to create the long-term investment, because it's a lot harder to do in the other direction. And you just get extra benefits out of that. So those are the three things I'm looking for. In terms of background, like I've talked to folks with a wide range of backgrounds. There needs to be, again, like some content chops in the sense of like, yeah, like, content channels work, how search works. You can't just be like a purely comms person. But it's not a predominantly SEO role or team, even though we do see some success with organic traffic and we have some external SEO resource to draw on for that. Love examples of folks who've worked in integrated marketing, integrated campaigns. If you can give me your version of company announces this thing for those projects, that's awesome. It doesn't have to be something that you ran not like end to end, but that you're involved in, that you can speak to content's impact across an organization. And then the management experience. One thing we look for in the test project, which says on the test project, is how do you coach your writers or your video folks or your content folks to be more self-sufficient and effective long term. So our project, I'll just say what it is. Like, there's an article, you go through and not line edit but leave comments throughout the article that essentially give you recommendations. Like, how do you communicate with a writer? How do you balance the criticism and the praise and the request for rewrites and the why you're saying certain things or certain other things? That's what I really want to look for, because that relationship is super important to us also.
Cool. I love it. A couple of years ago, probably years ago, Len posted a tweet storm about how to stand out in a content marketing interview. I think that might actually be linked in the job description. If it's not,
it is. Yeah.
Can I? Okay. Yeah. Read that. You should definitely read that if you're going to apply, because I think that was I would imagine he was at Podia hiring whoever the first content person was. So highly relevant. Cool. Super helpful, Benjamin. Very like high density. Like, I feel like a lot of good info. I really appreciate that Podia has a philosophy about these things. It's not just, you're not just talking about like, here's our go-to-market strategy, ABC. Like, you guys are building like a philosophy about how to do marketing. And I feel like this position just fits so nicely into that. So I'll throw out there for folks, if you're interested and you're on the fence about applying, please shoot me a DM in the Slack community. I'll be happy to look at writing samples, resumes, cover letters, whatever, give you feedback, give you a little bit of encouragement if that's what you need. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. Anything else, Benjamin, that you want to mention about this role or just Podia in general that I didn't ask you about?
I think something that's like easy to underrate is this is a cool job. Like, even I remember you and I, Jimmy, were talking before I joined Podia, where I was like, that would be a cool job. And now I'm here. Yeah. And like, that's really cool. Like, the work that you do all the time has a really immediate effect on people's lives. These are folks who some of them are full-time creators, and this is how they make their living. Some of them are part-time, but like, because they're able to make a little bit of extra income off of their creative work, they can do more of it and spend more time on it. No customer of Podia is doing something they don't want to do. Everyone is creating. Cool. They're doing the stuff they really want, and they use Podia to make that happen. And like, you see the impact of your work every day. That's really cool.
I can speak from the creator side that can be a little stressful sometimes, and little things can have a big impact. So like, that really resonates with me. Like, when you discover something where you're like, oh my gosh, that would solve this problem I have, or I never thought of that. Mm-hmm. Like, it translates into revenue or income for yourself, like in your own pocket, in a way that it just doesn't for like, if you sell a product to other B2B companies and it helps them improve their conversion rate by 0.2%. Yes, that's revenue for the company, but it doesn't really affect the individual on the other end so much, So, well, cool. Super cool role. I hope we send some good folks your way shortly here. And thanks for taking the time to do this. It's just really helpful for our folks to, see your face, hear your voice, and learn more about the role directly from potentially their new boss.
Yeah. Thanks, Jimmy.
Take care, Benjamin.